Hello guys, this is Briefly Everything, where we take all of history and put it on a little timeline to give it all context. My name is Felix and I'm ready, I hope you are too. Now, we'll start today around 1500 BCE. A lot of things went down in history around this year, so we'll jump straight into it, and we'll jump around a little bit so we don't leave any stones unturned. Now, starting off, as I said, 1500 BCE. Through ancient African history, you might only have heard of Egypt, but there was actually another guy as well called Nubia. They were Egypt's southern neighbour. Sometimes these guys would fight ferociously with each other, but sometimes just be happy neighbours instead. Nubia, here in the south, had already been around for a while, but around 1500 BCE, Egypt conquered all of Nubia, forging a great empire that stretched all the way from the Euphrates in Syria to the fifth cataract of the Nile. On a note of having great haircuts here, by the way, like myself, during this same time in Egypt, it's likely that the first scissors were invented. So now the people could finally go get their hair done at the local hair salon. So yes, 1500 BCE, the invention of the scissors, that is. Now, still sticking to this 1500 BCE, do you remember the Hittites? The original Indo-European people, we could call them. The very same people around this same time realized that if you just get the oven a bit warmer, well, it wasn't that easy, but then you could melt iron instead of bronze. So they started producing weapons and tools made from iron and steel, which was such a big update from bronze, and thus the Hittites actually ended the Bronze Age and brought in the last period of the 3-age system, the Iron Age. The 3-age system now I'd like to just discuss briefly here. It started off with the Stone Age, the period that started 2.5 million years ago, which is more accurately called the Old Stone Age or the Paleolithic Age. Moving into the Neolithic Age in around 10,000 BCE and also including the Agricultural Revolution. The second period of the 3-age system here begins around 3000 BCE and is commonly referred to as the Bronze Age, which lasted until the year of this timeline here, 1500 BC again. And the final period, the Iron Age, which will last for another 900 years until 600 BCE, at which point Herodotus, the father of history also called, started to write down history, and his work coincides with the end of the 3-age system. Now that was a bit of crash course of the 3-age system. And now about the Iron Age starting around here. Of course, the whole world didn't suddenly start creating iron at the same time, so most of the planet were still stuck in Bronze Age mode. But this here is the pivotal age switch and time in history that we'll refer to it as. Those with the knowledge and skills to use iron were able to forge weapons and tools which were far stronger, more durable and more useful than those civilizations that were still reliant on bronze. And as such, the Hittites became very successful in conquering and just growing their population. Now, we still haven't left 1500 BC, but we'll move on to another place of the world. On to maths as well. Now today, if our number is higher than 9, we just tag on a 0 at the end and make it 2 digits or 3 digits or even 4 if it's that large. But for a surprisingly long time, the only way to express such numbers would be to count them, like saying 1, but saying 1 10,000 times instead. The Mayan civilization was actually groundbreaking here, because in 1500 BC, somewhere around here, we already have traces of a numeral system with place values that date back to around this date. This concept here would appear 1,000 years earlier than the Indo-Arabic numeral system that the rest of the world would pick up on later, and it wasn't adopted in Europe until 2,000 years later, so the Mayans were pretty much ahead of everyone here. The Mayans were actually also one of the only ancient cultures to have the number 0. It seems obvious to us now, but it wasn't back then. In fact, the concept of 0 is one of the most important mathematics breakthroughs of all time. Now just a quick little update here from our first mainland civilization in Europe. By the way, in Europe around this time and all the way until this time, nothing had really happened. If we backtrack a little bit, the Mycenaeans in mainland Greece, whom we heard about 200 years ago, now start to take over the Minoan cities, who were there first and who were also Greek. So soon now we'll start seeing the original Greeks and also the original Europeans start fading away from history here slowly, while the Mycenaeans would fade in. Now we've moved down a little bit in the timeline here, just to finish up this video. During the Bronze Age collapse, almost all the cities in Mesopotamia fell and were abandoned. However, one major power was able to capitalize on the collapsing world. That would be Assur, who has started joining forces with other cities, thus making the Assyrian Empire. 1365 BCE is typically the start of the Assyrian Empire, but you won't hear much of them simply for another little while, but bear in mind that they'll be around and they'll be fierce for many years to come. So I just wanted to mention them quickly at the end of this video here. Just bear those guys in mind. And that is it from this video. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and I hope you learned a lot. We've gone through quite a lot of things. We've gone through the start of the Iron Age, Egypt, Nubia, the Hittites, the three-age system. We've gone through maths and the Minoans and the Mycenaeans, and we finally ended up with our first empire in history, the Assyrian Empire. Again, thank you for watching, and goodbye.